Now I'm going to begin with a disclaimer that this is not the most color accurate match that I've gotten with my paint schemes. It's pretty pink, and the Strike Rouge is typically not super pink. So just letting you know, moving forward, it's not going to be the most accurate, but I still think it looks great, and this is an awesome way to paint pink. If you're doing something like Emperor's Children, you'll definitely want to reference this pink color. Now that being said, when I learned you could take the Aile pack off of the Skygrasper and put it onto the Strike launcher frame to make the Aile Strike Gundam, I knew I had to paint the Strike Rouge. This is going to be short and sweet, so without further ado, let's grab a brush and get painting. I'm going to begin with an airbrushed base coat of 2 thin coats glistening gums. Now you might notice a pink already on the model while I'm airbrushing it. I decided to change what color I was using as the base, and that's okay. You can do that. You can make changes. It's perfectly fine. You don't have to airbrush here. You can just brush on. Brush on's always fine. Never think that because I'm airbrushing, you have to airbrush. That's not how it is. Glistening gums is going to give us a great base for as we move from a dark to a bright color. Originally, I was going to start with that brighter pink, but I found it difficult to shade and glaze down without coffee staining. Once that coat of glistening gums is down, we're going to start building up to a brighter color, and to do that, we're going to mix AK 3rd Gen pastel pink into our glistening gums. It's going to be about a 50-50 mix right now, but as we build up the color, we're going to want to add more of that pastel pink in. And when you apply it, you're going to want to apply it generally over the entirety of the model. You don't want a whole lot of that glistening gums shadow to show through. How much of the shadow you leave behind will definitely alter the pink color. I personally think that I left a little bit too much shadow behind, and in the end result, it looks a little bit more pink than white, how I wanted it to originally look, but I was really vibing with the color, so I stuck with it. And as I worked on this color, I started to fill in some of those gray parts, the joints, as well as the Strike Gundam signature metal frame. And that helped me identify how the color was starting to look better than if it was just a giant blob of pink. And because I saw the way the pink was looking once I added that metal frame, I decided to add a little bit more of that pastel pink into my color as I started to apply it. And when you're applying the color, you really want to work and develop it. It doesn't have to be this set in stone ABC. You can apply a little bit more of the glistening gums in that color. You can apply a little bit more of the pastel pink. Just kind of work it to get it the way you want to look and so that it looks right to you. You can see here that I went ahead and I completed the rifle as well as all the metal framing and the joints just to get all those colors in. We want to get the Strike Rouge to a whiter pink, so I add even more of that pastel pink into the mixture. I think pastel pink is a really fantastic color for the Strike Rouge, but it applies pretty poorly, which is why I do mix it in quite a lot to get a more stable color. If you want your Strike Rouge to be a whiter color, then just add more of that pastel pink. Go ham, have fun with it. Like I said, I was just really vibing with the pink that I had going on here. Oh, and as you highlight, don't forget to do a little bit of stippling to make the highlights a little bit more interesting with a nice gradual grain to it. Now we're going to move into a final highlight of pure AK 3rd Gen pastel pink. Now, like I said, it applies kind of poorly, so be careful as you apply it. It can go on a little thick or goopy, so just make sure you're thinning your paints and that you have a second brush that is wet so that you can clean up any mistakes that are happening. Take your time with this highlight, apply it as much as you want. If you want the machine brighter and that more white color, apply more of it. As you can see, I stuck mostly towards the edges. I painted it sparingly, and that preserved that Himalayan sea salt pink that's underneath. Now that the main body is completed, we're going to look at the torso and apply the pinks there. And I'm going to start off with AK 3rd Gen Wine Red on the upper part of the torso. Wine red is a magenta-y sort of red. It's actually one of my favorite AK 3rd Gen colors. It's really good and real versatile, especially for skin tones, which I might show you a little later. If you want a slightly more color accurate Strike Rouge color, you may want to consider mixing in some Mephiston red into this color. Not a lot, just a dash to make it a little bit more red. Then I'm actually going to skip over to the lower torso as well as the feet, and for that we're going to paint a color that you might be familiar with if you watched my Sharazaki video, and that's by mixing Mephiston red in with a sunny skin tone. That'll give us a nice sort of salmony, kind of desaturated pink that the Strike Rouge has in its lower torso and feet. To highlight that, all I'm going to do is add some AK 3rd Gen Ice Yellow into our previous mixture. Now you might see me use Ice Yellow a lot, and that's because it's a really great way to increase the brightness of your color without desaturating it like white might. The yellow pigments in the Ice Yellow help keep in color, while the white, it's just pure white. It'll start to drown out whatever colors are in your previous paint. So that's why I'll often choose that Ice Yellow. And speaking of, we're actually going to add Ice Yellow into our AK 3rd Gen Wine Red to start to highlight our upper chest part. You'll just run this highlight around all the edges. It's a kind of a boxy shape, so just hitting those edges will kind of make it appear more boxy. And then finally, a few dot highlights on the corners just by adding even more Ice Yellow into that previous mixture. Once again, these will show off the boxiness and the angles if you put them in the corners. And here the Strike Rouge is complete, and I know I didn't show painting the Aile striker pack or the shield. That black, it's pretty simple. You just paint black and you start to build up your grays onto it. Make sure you're adding little scratch lines because it is a little bit beaten up. For the Aile striker pack, the red, I just did the same color as the Strike Rouge's torso. And with this final result, you can kind of see what I was talking about, in that the Strike Rouge looks more pink than it probably should. But like I said, I was really liking the color. I think it's a great way to paint pink, and I'm happy with it. Though I do have a little bit of regret of it not being super accurate towards the original color scheme. That being said, it's okay. It's cool to do your own thing. Never be afraid to do your own thing. You don't have to stick with the colors that are shown on the box, that are shown in the anime. Just do whatever you want. Make it yours, because these miniatures are yours. Have fun with it. And I hope you had fun watching this video. If you did, like, subscribe, comment, share it with friends, all those things. I know you're tired of hearing them. You get it in every YouTube video. What can you do? I hope to catch you in the next one that is coming very soon.